I felt like I noticed a little shift in the communication with clients, and even just the, for lack of a better term, maybe like camaraderie with clients, when I started to be a little bit more like, I work loosely and expressively. I'm not a therapist, but I have training, like previous and ongoing training with things like trauma and grief and, whatever else. I like to focus on like scarring, but my work looks like this, and when I just said more of who I am, which I felt nervous to do that at first, because I'm like, one, will people even want this? And two, who am I? Like, who even am I? Whatever. But then when I started to do, a friend literally sat with me and was like, what if you just said more about who you are and what you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that yet. She was like, well, just do it. Just say that you want to focus on more trauma survivors. And I was like, okay. And then a big shift happened. Yeah, I think it's just like an ongoing thing. I don't think you ever hit a point in tattooing or communication with clients where you'll be like, oh, I got it. Like, I hope not, because then you're not growing and learning anymore. It doesn't mean that you're like fucked up and bad ahead of time. It just means that we're constantly in the process of being like, oh, how can I adjust to make things better, I was working in kind of like an arts and social service job. And I had met this lady who, she said to me, she had a lot of things going on. She had like a lot of emotional impairment, and she was like, I really wish I could get tattooed like you get tattooed. And I was like, you can. And she said, no, I've gone into shops. She's like in a little motorized wheelchair. She doesn't often wear her teeth, and she always has like, like pink hair or something like that, and she's in her 70s. And shops would be like, no, we're good. And she'd be like, I have money. And they'd be like, no, we're good. And I was so pissed about that. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we should all be able to have decent experiences. I thought to myself after this one, I was like, I'd like to get, I wish I could get tattooed. I'm like, you can. And then she's like, well, she's like, this is a person, you're talking to a person who is disabled, who is in her 70s and maybe looks a little bit different than they think a tattoo client is supposed to look. And she had pretty significant scarring. She had been hit by a drunk driver, and she had been wanting to, get those tattoos sort of like covered or masked or whatever. And I was like, And so I approached the owner of the shop who was getting tattooed at, and was like, so I've been drawing and making and stuff for like 30 years or whatever, and I had this idea. And she was like, yeah, let's give it a whirl. And so now that lady that was like, I can't, like, no one wants to fix it. She comes in every year on her birthday. I feel like the idea of sitting with people one-on-one, especially when it's something that can maybe like help support them in connecting with their own body, reconnecting, connecting, whatever, or just having your own ownership over this thing that is our home in a lot of ways. And I was just like, are people going to trust me to do this? And somehow it's working out, I guess. The very first part of tattooing is hard. Partially because you're not really making a lot of money at the time. So unless you have, like, you're independently wealthy or you have 3 other jobs or something. I was a single mom, still am, but like just a single mom at the time, and was like working another job and the apprenticeship, and it just felt like a lot. And you're also working on other people, and you're trying not to like have a fucking heart attack when you're doing that, because you're like, this is for someone else and it's permanent, it's forever. And then over time, you're like, oh, you learn to troubleshoot, you learn to like ask questions without feeling embarrassed to your coworker. Hey, do you look expensive? What do you think? Whatever. And it's just like building that, I don't know, almost like muscle up. And the little steps along the way, you'll be like, oh, okay, all right, I got that. And there's just a lot of adjustment. Can I say unrelated? You can make good money doing this. Okay. Like good money. Like don't shortchange yourself, like a lot of us do. And you'll start off and it won't feel that way because in some ways it shouldn't. You're learning, and the first, if you're doing tattoos, you'll build up and then you're learning and you're working on someone who knows you're learning, and so the rates will be something from nothing to building it up. But then, and especially when you're your own boss, because tipping is still a thing. It's not expected from people, but if you do, I have two people this week that tip up $100 each. Yeah. Like, and what government needs to know that.